Good morning. I am about to show you how I begin some of my small work on paper. This size is 12 by 12, and I started out by using a Stabilo pencil. It is the 8046 pencil, water-soluble aquarelle. And I'm just making random marks on the paper, and then I squirt it a little bit with some water so that I can smudge it a little bit. And I'm really just warming up this morning before I figure out what else I'm going to work on today. So this is pretty typical of how my day would begin in the studio. I have brown paper covering my work table. Sometimes I use a large sheet of mixed media paper underneath my work, but that also sometimes doesn't make as much sense as just putting down brown paper. I will eventually use all of the under paper in collage or other projects. So I did scribble some random words on there as well, but I couldn't tell you what they are. They're mostly just positive affirmations. So now I grabbed my Derwent Inktense blocks, and I try really hard to keep them all in their perspective homes, and it's tough. They break and snap, and this tin full of yumminess is my second tin of these ink blocks in my art career. I think I purchased my first set in 2018, and by 2022 I purchased a new set, and I don't think I'm working this set quite as hard as I worked my first set. And then I also shared some of my old broken pieces with another artist, and eventually I got down to just a small little handful of broken bits. So in 2022, I believe, might have been 23, I ordered a new set. It is not the largest set, believe it or not, but yummy product. So now I'm just going in with my hand, and I'm not afraid to do that. I know a lot of people use gloves and don't allow paint to get on their hands, but I don't do it that often, and I wash my hands several times a day when I'm creating, so it doesn't scare me to do that. I think I'm grabbing another color now, grabbing a yellow. And these colors are sitting around on my art table from yesterday's Zoom session that I had with a client. I mentor people on Zoom, and these were the colors that were still just sitting around randomly on my desk. So that's what I went ahead and grabbed. I don't even have anything down on a palette, so I'm kind of working straight from tube at this point. I do think I squirt out a little bit of teal here in a minute. The brands that I was using, the fluorescent pink is Amsterdam fluorescent pink. The yellow is a company called NASCO acrylic paint. And I picked that up at a place here in Kansas City that sells overstock products. And the name of it is Cargo Largo. And you can get things that didn't get delivered correctly or were overbought, or, a truck crashes and some of the product's still good, but they don't take it onto the store. They take it to Cargo Largo and they resell it. And you can find lots of really interesting things to work with, paint and paper and art supplies, but you do have to go often and you do have to kind of dig. Anyway, the teal that I'm using is Liquitex Basics Fluid Acrylic, and it was also sitting nearby, and I thought it was a good color complement to some of the bright colors. And then I do like to take a paper towel, a wet, damp paper towel, and kind of smudge some of the paint a little further, kind of like rub it in and smudge it and make it look like it's a little bit blurry. And that works not only with the paint, but with any water-soluble crayon that I apply to the page. It kind of blends things in, and it makes some interesting, dreamy kind of marks. So I'm kind of just grabbing any water-soluble crayon that is near me. One of them was the yellow was the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 Aquarelle crayon, in addition to the Derwent Inktense. I also used a Stabilo Woody. The teal crayon that I grabbed was a Stabilo Woody. So a mixture of water-soluble utensils, if you will, writing utensils, crayons, pencils. Water-soluble means that they will move if something like water or paint is rubbed across them. And yeah, so I'm just kind of randomly applying paint and marks here, there, no real rhyme or reason. I did splatter. I got some water on that brush with that periwinkle. That's also a Liquitex Fluid Acrylic color. And I dipped the brush in water after it already had been loaded with paint, and then I just splattered some of that paint down. Now I'm going in and kind of rubbing some of it out. It's almost like I felt like I wanted the color, but not the hard lines, if that makes sense. And it is, someone asked me yesterday how I come up with the shapes that I put into my work. And sometimes I have to remind myself when I'm doing abstract that sometimes it's all about the curvilinear lines and curves, which then end up becoming more circular or oval in nature. And then sometimes I have to remind myself to put in the straight lines. And I will do that by either, stretching out a mark or using something to draw up against, like a flat edge. I think a combination of both curvilinear lines and hard lines is the most pleasing to me when I look at a piece. I also like to leave a lot of loose marks underneath that are kind of shadowy marks. And a lot of these marks that I made with the pencil will end up staying visible. That is the hot pink that I brought back in, the fluorescent pink, on a damp napkin. Paper towel, I mean, sorry. And I'm just kind of bouncing it around. So yeah, it really turns into some fun.